I was a scriptwriter, and I came in contact with a number of architects. And when I kind of really asked them and understood through them what architecture was, I realized it was very close to scriptwriting. An architect is not only devising forms, but also organizing the sequence in which certain things happen inside a building. And at that point, I thought I was really excited to do scriptwriting through architecture, because it is more involved in society. And so for me it is interesting to kind of respond with architecture to kind of critique that you've made in kind of society. I'll give you a kind of very blatant example. I think museums have expanded almost to an absurd degree, become bigger and bigger everywhere. So for that reason it becomes interesting if you can do a small museum. Yeah. They have done everything with new architecture, so it becomes interesting if you can convert, as I'm doing now in Moscow, a restaurant from the Soviet time into a 21st century institution. So for me, it's not so much good architecture, but it's architecture that helps to redefine where we stand, ultimately. I think that we are now living in the kind of first moment where forms is not connected to anything else, and where we also have exceptional abilities to create kind of almost random forms or any form. So we are in a kind of moment of extreme preoccupation with form, but form on its own terms and for its own sake, rather than form as an expression of. And I think that's both a very exciting and very alarming kind of moment, because I don't think we can, collectively in the end sustain an environment of total randomness. I think we need some kind of relationship between form and other values. So I'm, for instance, kind of working on the National Library in Qatar. It's a very sober building with very sober colors, but I'm now kind of thinking about light simply to create some accents in a very large space that are simply lighting effects of color, maybe as a kind of coding to understand the building or in other reasons. My role as an architect, although I prefer daylight, I can realize that in most cases daylight is not the main source of illumination, so that makes me totally fascinated by the potential of artificial light, to the point that I now would use artificial light also to kind of provide some architectural associations and effects, and would use it in a more ambitious manner. The more you can kind of combine intelligence from different domains, the better it works. So in that sense, but typically I would say that the best light would emerge from a kind of collaboration that happens before, rather than kind of choose from a catalog of what is already there. I see myself as a kind of collaborator in certain processes of transformation. I mean, that's really what I see myself. And so sometimes form is an essential component of that, sometimes it's not. But I think with the same pleasure about for a kind of symbol that needs to be kind of very recognizable, as I think for a laboratory that needs to kind of really offer a hardcore performance of how it has to work. For me, both are equally interesting. And I also like a kind of camouflage where I totally withdraw in the envelope that is defined either by history or by an earlier architect, and kind of infiltrate that and see what I can do with it. So, but because in all three conditions I can pursue my real interest, and my real interest is kind of redefining things.